My Science Fair Experiment, Clouds, by Emma Miriosky. My background information is that there are almost always clouds in the sky. Studies show that about 67% of the world is covered in clouds, but yet we don't always acknowledge their presence. I wanted to experiment to see how clouds were formed and better understand God's miraculous creation. How do clouds form? Like I said before, there are almost always clouds in the sky. How do they get there? A lot of people automatically assume that clouds are made up of water vapor. This is not entirely true. While clouds do contain water vapor, they are not actually made up of it. Instead, they are made up of tiny ice crystals or water droplets. There are many different types of clouds. The most common are the cirrus, stratus, and cumulonimbus clouds, and they all form in slightly different ways. But all clouds basically go through the same formation process. First, water evaporates into water vapor. Usually, the temperature at the surface is warmer than the dew point. The dew point is where condensation occurs. As the water vapor rises, the air gets cooler and the pressure gets lower. Eventually, the temperature drops to the dew point, and condensation occurs in the form of water droplets or tiny ice crystals. It is easiest for it to undergo condensation by condensing on particles like dust and pollen in the air. When enough water vapor has undergone the transformation, there is a cloud. My hypothesis was, clouds form when water evaporates and rises. After enough has condensed, a cloud is formed. By the end of my experiment, I should be able to clearly see the cloud and better understand how it formed. I'm going to rate how successful my experiment was by using a number scale. The pictures here are numbered 1 to 4, 1 being barely, if not at all, visible, and working its way up to a 4, where the cloud is very dense and easy to see. Just as there are several ways that clouds form, there were several ways to complete this experiment, but in the end I chose to make a cloud in a bottle. The key materials I needed were a clear jar, water or rubbing alcohol or some sort of liquid that evaporates, matches or something that will produce particles for the water vapor to condense on, and a metal tray filled with ice. I completed this experiment with 3 different techniques, each several times. The first time I made a cloud, I used water for the liquid and smoke particles from 3 blown out matches, which is what the water vapor condensed on. After completing it again several times, my end result was a 4 from my scale. The second time, I used rubbing alcohol for the liquid and 3 blown out matches. The result was also a 4. Finally, for the last time, I again used rubbing alcohol, but instead of the smoke, I used hairspray. After completing it again several times, the cloud only ended up being a 1. From all this, I concluded that, although clouds form in several different ways, they all fundamentally go through the same process. When trying to imitate making the cloud, it's really important to make sure you have good particles for the cloud to condense on. I also concluded that the best way to come up with a dense cloud is to use either water and smoke or rubbing alcohol and smoke particles. God designed the universe in such a deep and magnificent way. And now, I'm going to quickly show you how to make a cloud. Okay, so here I have a jar of warm water and a tray of ice. My dad's holding matches over there. What we're going to do is my dad's going to light the matches, blow them out, and drop them in the jar. Then I'm going to cover the jar with a tray of ice. The warm water is going to start to evaporate and condense on the smoke particles. This tray of ice helps to speed up the process of condensation. Okay. And now you can see that a level 4 cloud has formed. Thanks for watching.